Welcome back to Bonkers For Boro, and what a match we have in store tomorrow. Middlesbrough against Millwall at the Riverside Stadium. It's going to be a sellout crowd, a massive promotion six-pointer, and I am absolutely bapping my pants about this one because it is going to be a really, really nervous occasion. Of course, we've already spoken about Middlesbrough. We know what they're going to be capable of, but what are Millwall going to bring to the party? I caught up with Chris from Chat with Chaps on YouTube to get his thoughts on the Millwall side of things, what he thought going into the game, and whether he thought that Josh Coburn and the Lions could pull off a shock result at the Riverside Stadium. Here's what he had to say.
Hi Phil, Millwall podcast Chat with Chaps here, just giving you my preview ahead of the huge clash at the Riverside on Friday. First of all, I think going into the game, it's such a mixed feeling for Millwall fans. I guess it's one of excitement, anticipation, nerves, but also we just need to enjoy this, right? I know for the likes of Ipswich fans, Middlesbrough fans, you've been in the Premier League, right? You've been involved in promotion races at the top end of the Championship previously. This is new territory for us and something that, we'd have hoped and dreamed for at the start of the season. But to actually go into the final 7 games of the season with a genuine shout of getting into that top 2 and obviously high on confidence from the draw at Ipswich, this is just, I can only speak personally, but a very, very mixed emotions for sure going into the game. I think when I think about the 2 teams on the pitch, for me, Middlesbrough, other than Coventry, have reached the highest ceiling this season. I think some of the football that they've played has been fantastic. I think they've got players that would get in pretty much any team in the league. I think in Hayden Hackney, although I do believe he's not going to be available, you've got one of, if not the best player in the league. And some of the football you've been playing under Hellberg has been absolutely phenomenal. I think for Millwall, we are getting the best out of still a very good group of players, but I think we've probably got 2 or 3 standouts. I think Jake Cooper has been phenomenal this season. I think Femi Aziz, everyone knows, and unfortunately, we probably will end up losing him in the summer if we don't achieve the Premier League this season. And Tristan Kramer at right back has been an absolute revelation. So I think we've got some really good players, and we're going to talk about Josh Coburn in a moment. Tactically, I think it's going to be an interesting one because whilst I think Middlesbrough play fantastic football, of course, recently you found it difficult to break down sides that have a low block. Are Millwall going to come and do that? I'm not so sure, to be honest with you, Phil. I don't think we will. I think we're going to come and we're going to try and win the game because I genuinely believe we need to win the game. I'll come back to that in a moment in terms of score predictions and what I think it means for the rest of the season. But tactically, Alex Neil is obviously very well versed in the Championship. I think at times this season, he has got it wrong from the kickoff, but what he's been able to do is manage in games. And that's something that I haven't seen Kim Hellberg do particularly well this season. I was really impressed with the way he adapted his approach for the win at Birmingham, but in game and trying to find solutions to these teams that provide a low block, he hasn't necessarily found a way to do that. So I think it's going to be an interesting tactical battle. And of course, we play much better on the transition. So that's going to be a really interesting watch from a tactical standpoint. Do Millwall need to win? I think we do. And I'll tell you the reason why. I don't necessarily think a bad result away at Middlesbrough is a draw, just like we got at Ipswich. But I think it says a lot about Ipswich's trajectory as much as it does Boro. Whilst Boro are obviously in the driving seat, I genuinely think a draw helps Ipswich. And with their game in hand, yes, they've got 5 games away from home. But I genuinely believe it will enable them to steal a march and just get in there. Obviously, with their game in hand, I think it's against Portsmouth. I think they've got some very winnable games coming up. So I do believe we need to win the game. I think if we can, I think it sets a huge statement of our intent. But yeah, like I said, I'm going into it full of nerves. Josh Coburn, let's talk a bit about him. So we have a song for Josh Coburn. I think it started out, and this tells you all you need to know about how he has definitely changed the fan base's opinion in general. It goes by, we've got a big effing lamppost. And you'll definitely hear that. I'm sure he's relished in the chance to play his former club, but he is now a bit of a fan's favourite down at the Den. For me personally, his all-round game hasn't changed. He's found it difficult this season with injuries, but his all-round game hasn't changed. I think, you'll be very well versed in his ability to run the channels. He's physical. He's not exactly slow. He's a workhorse, but he's started to add goals to his games, and he's looked really impressive. I genuinely believe, and this is a bold statement, and Middlesbrough fans, let me know if you disagree, I would have him over any of the Middlesbrough number 9s at the moment. I think he's playing really, really well. And he's everything that, from a Millwall perspective, big, physical, strong, not quick, but no slouch. He's everything we could possibly want. And having him and then having Ivanovic to possibly come on the bench, off the bench, I think is a really interesting one. So, but interesting to see the sort of reception he gets on Friday. I think the other welcome bit of news from Millwall is we've got a couple of key injuries. Casper Denora, certainly one of our better players in central midfield. He is now back and available, I believe, for tomorrow. And Alfie Doughty also returns to the squad. Whereas I believe Middlesbrough got some injury concerns. So does that play a part? I don't know. Does the fact that Boro were in poor form at home before the international break, we've now had the international break, so does that play a part? I don't know. I'm going to go, in terms of score prediction, Phil, for a 2-2. I don't think that helps either of us. Obviously, it's better for you than it is for us. But I think you're going to have two sides. I don't think we're going to sit back. Alex Neil goes into every game trying to win. I think he'll do that. I think you have two teams going for it that both want the 3 points, and it'll end up in a Desmond. Score prediction is 2-2. Whilst I have you Middlesbrough fans, what I would ask is to check out the channel. Now, of course, every channel asks you to do that, but I think one thing I'd love to sort of share with you is that everything we do on Chat with Chaps is for cancer research. So far, in 18 months since the channel set up, we have raised over £35,000 for cancer. And we've got a fundraising event taking place on the 6th of April against Norwich. For those of you that may remember that came to the Den last season, you would have seen cancer research representatives collecting money. That was our event then, and we're doing it again this season. We also have a charity auction, which I'll put the link into, where there's all sorts of prizes, some Millwall memorabilia, but all sorts of other bits. So even if you just share the word, even if you just come to the channel and subscribe, you've no idea what a difference you're making. I hope you have a wonderful Easter weekend, except for that 3 hours on Friday. Thanks again. Speak soon.
So thank you very much to Chris from Chat with Chaps for his view from the Millwall end. I really hope that Middlesbrough do get a positive result against Millwall. Oh, God, it's going to be such a tense occasion. I really want to know what you think about it and whether you think that Middlesbrough will be able to get a positive result. So drop into the comments below. Let me know what you think. If you have enjoyed this as well, please do hit like, please do hit subscribe, and I will catch up with you after the game against Millwall to give you my reaction from the Riverside Stadium. I'll catch you later.